Hello again, everybody. Second Tech is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight, Monday, September the 24th, 2012. My thoughts on Raw tonight, another 3-hour Raw is all I gotta say. A little bit mixed tonight. There was one great match, which was, of course, the first match, which I'll get to in a few moments. We also had a big victory from a big guy who may be going for a bigger title than we thought. So, we also saw Jerry Lawler, Mick Foley. And speaking of big men, a big man indeed returned tonight after a couple weeks off. But mixed bag from Raw once again. It's a 3-hour Raw. What can you say? Let's kick it off with our first segment involving CM Punk having his own little sit-in with Paul Heyman. Of course, Punk was, of course, getting angry about what happened last week with the referee not seeing his foot on the rope after being pinned by John Cena in a tag. And basically, Punk's like, I want justice, respect, blah, blah, blah. I want the decision reversed. And referee came out, and Punk compared them to the NFL replacement referees, which I know a lot of people be like, that is true. But the whole NFL referees thing, blah, blah, blah. Because Punk's like, hey, new referee who was hired by AJ, he said. Because 3-hour Raw, blah, blah, blah. AJ needs more guys to ref. CM Punk gave him a blindfold, like a little sleep thing with the NFL logo and WWE logo. That was kind of funny. A couple cultural references were mentioned this evening. Some parodies, which I'll get to in a few moments, involving Cena and Daniel Bryan. Anyway, so the referee was being chastised by Punk, but he apologized for his mistake, but Punk wants the decision overruled for him, blah, blah, blah. And here comes AJ, who was called an idiot by Punk and Paul Heyman. And Punk thinks that AJ's still mad at him for denying her proposal. And then Paul Heyman decided to propose to AJ. And AJ slapped him and ran a rampage. Not a rampage, but kind of an emotional rampage. He got mad at the referees to kind of like smile and curtsy to them later on. But not make a mistake. Thanks right away, referees for the rest of the evening did not make a mistake tonight. So after AJ talks, so there you go. Now on our first matchup, which was a very decent one between Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler. Now, this match stemmed from a Twitter war, and I am happy that they decided to kick out Vicky Guerrero and R-Truth after R-Truth apparently spilled water on Vicky Guerrero with a little help from Little Jimmy. I'm glad they were both out of ringside and were not able to distract us from a great matchup. The last 2 minutes were great back and forth action. Great physical action from these guys. Great open up the wall. Probably one of the best wall matches I've seen in a while. Could have been a lot longer. But very exciting matchup ended, of course, with Kobe trying to go for the Torment Paradise. But, of course, Dolph Ziggler counted many times. Ended with the zigzag and the victory for Mr. Money in the Bank. And like I said in the beginning, I'm glad that R-Truth and Vicky were out of the match. Not able to interfere and have a shitty ending for a great matchup between Dolph and Kofi. Very exciting matchup to begin war with Dolph winning. Great matchup. Very good action from these two guys. Very exciting. Now, on with our next segment, which I was kind of hinting towards with parodies. Throughout the evening, we saw more segments involving Daniel Bryan and Kane, of course, having their issues after what happened last week, winning the tag team titles, retaining on Raw, and of course what happened on SmackDown. Well, they had a little role-playing session with their doctor, Dr. Shelby, with Kane coming in at first as a waiter named Harold, and then later on, I mentioned a parody, where they did a parody of the, if you never seen the movie When Harry Met Sally, it was parodied also by WWE another time for WrestleMania 2021 with Christy Heyman and Kurt Angle, who are both ironically teaming out doing that, like the fake orgasm scene, yes, by Megan Ryan and Billy Crystal in that movie, parodied by Christy Heyman and Kurt Angle. That commercial where I was parodied again tonight by Daniel Bryan and Kane. They were talking about things, and Daniel did that, yes, yes. And after that segment in the movie, the lady said, there was another lady who said, I'll have what she's having. Well, we had Mae Young saying, I'll have what they're having. So, little When Harry Met Sally parody referenced by Kane and Daniel Bryan tonight. And they had their own little end segment with Daniel Bryan, a vegan, eating a meatball and puking all over Dr. Shelby. And we'll find out their team name later on in the evening. So we'll see what's going on with this odd couple and their new team name, which is not the odd couple, a little bit later on in the evening. But right now it's time for our next match. Speaking of tag teams, that's our next match, tag team match. As woo, you know it, Zack Ryder teamed up with Santino Marella against the Primetime Players. Now I love, as you know me, if you've seen my shows, I'm a big Zack Ryder fan. He's not the best wrestler in the world, but I like his personality. Santino kind of mixed about, but I like Zack Ryder more. Anyway, I like them, but Primetime Players attacking Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio last week. They're sending a statement to the entire tag team division. They send it again tonight, loud and clear, by dominating over Santino and Zack Ryder. Even though Zack and Santino did very well, they've teamed up very good together in the past. The challenge was too overpowering against the Primetime Players, a powerful tag team. I like their attitude. I like their teamwork. Quick tags in and out for these two guys. Dominate over Ryder and Santino after Titus getting a blind tag off of Darren Young in the victory, making millions and millions of dollars. Make money for the Primetime Players, setting another huge statement to everyone in the tag team division. Well, let's say that Ryder and Santino ain't the only team they have to worry about, as we'll find out later on in the evening. As the tag team champions got attacked by another team that wants to be in that title picture for the tag team titles as well. Now, on with our next segment involving a little special guest, Mick Foley, surprising everybody by coming out tonight. Well, it was in Albany, New York, kind of close to Long Island, of course, home of Zack Ryder. So Mick Foley came out, said hi, everybody talked about CM Punk aligning himself with Paul Heyman, saying, Punk, you're not the Punk you used to be. You're kind of an egotistical guy, and kind of a whiner guy now that you're with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman may be a guy who's a powerful guy, but he can be a powerful liar as well. And here comes Punk. Felt he's being disrespected by Foley. And Foley's like, are you going to be your old man? Or keep sipping from Paul Heyman's Kool-Aid. And Punk, this is the first time in a while I've really heard people really boo Punk. WWE's been trying their best to make people boo Punk. There's still people cheering him, but I think I've heard more boos tonight for Punk than any other city. Anyway, Punk said, I want to attack you, Foley, because you're beneath me, blah, blah, blah. Respect. You know, I appreciated nothing because he was talking to Foley when he was voicing a voiceless, blah, blah, blah. Talking about how Punk's changed, not even with Heyman. That Punk doesn't need his own mouthpiece. He is a mouthpiece, even though he'll get his own little pipe bomb in the face later. So, anyway, Punk didn't make himself his own man at Night of Champions. He won by a tie. So, Foley challenged Punk to try to be a man in Hell in a Cell against, yes, John Cena, who was at Raw tonight. And later on in the evening, Punk would have the choice to face to face Cena or not in Hell in a Cell. He'd make a decision later on in the evening, despite Cena's little injury that he was out for about 4 or 6 weeks. Anyway, so Punk and Foley had the little altercation that led to our next matchup, which was stemming from last week, as Ryback took on The Miz in a non-title match. By the end of the evening, I think you may know why that the Miz and Ryback match wasn't a title match. Anyway, Miz had his own little offense, but Miz, unfortunately, was like all the rest. Yes, even the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, got fed to the lion and got swallowed whole by the Destroyer, the Beast, known as Ryback. Yes, Ryback has pinned the IC Championship, dominating Miz like he was a jobber. Destroyed him big time. And I missed it. Someone helped me out. Was there a fan coming in the ring? I thought I saw someone being laid out. Something happened during the Ryback and Miz match. I think a fan might have gotten in the ring and attacked Ryback or something. Or it was a fan. I didn't see the fan coming in. I just saw security come in. Apparently, a fan jumped in the ring while attacking Ryback. But despite that, Ryback did near his finisher. Like I mentioned, got the victory. Yes, over the Intercontinental Champion Miz. Which I thought, hey, Ryback just been the IC champion. He's going to get a title match against Miz. Well, but in the evening, we will know why he's probably not going to face Miz for an IC title. Maybe face another champion of sorts. Now on to, speaking of champions, on to a match involving the Bare Knuckles champion, Wade Barrett. It's Barrett barraging through Tyson Kidd. Once again, for the second week in a row, we had We Want Nexus chants. Because if you missed the last week, we had Justin Gabriel against Wade Barrett. There was We Want Nexus chants. Well, I'm hearing WWE may want to bring back Nexus. WWE, if you bring Nexus back, don't fuck it up this time. They had a great start and a shitty finish. You know, after SummerSlam 2010, Nexus really got fucked up. They fucked Nexus up big time. They had a big push and got ruined by the time we got to SummerSlam with that clusterfuck of a 14-man tag. Anyway, so it was a typical Barrett squash over Tyson Kidd, who didn't try to fight us back, but indeed, Wade Barrett nailed Tyson with his new finisher, not Wasteland, but his new finisher called a Souvenir, a little powerful elbow, and the victory as Wade Barrett tries to climb his way back to the top with his Barrett barrage still in full force. So there you go. Barrett gets the victory in an OK squasher against Tyson Kidd. Now, on with our next match, which was a 6-man tag. It was Alberto Del Rio, David Otunga, and yes, for Carlos Rodriguez, who was kind of more reluctant to tag up with Alberto than the last time he was supposed to team up with him, more scared. He was more reluctant, teaming up against Sin Cara, Rey Mysterio, and the World Champion Sheamus. Now, Ricardo got in a few times and had some cheap shots before tagging in either Otunga or Alberto. But in the end, it was, of course, the Good Times team getting the victory. Sheamus delivering white noise. And, of course, Mysterio coming in for the 619 after Sheamus did all the work. And, of course, it was Sin Cara coming in, tagged in by Sheamus, delivering a frog splash. I heard Sin Cara get more cheers than any other city I've heard him be in. 1, 2, 3 victory for Sin Cara, Mysterio, and Sheamus. It ended with a brogue kick to Otunga after the match. So there you go. Okay, 6-man tag, decent action. But of course, Sheamus, Sin Cara, and Mysterio gets the victory with Sheamus unselfishly tagged in Sin Cara after Sheamus did most of the damage. So there you go. Okay, tag match, 6-man tag. Now, speaking of tag situations, our next segment involving Daniel Bryan and Kane. And we saw them in the wrestling one. Do a when Harry met Sally thing and trying to work things out with their little issues. And it ended with, of course, the Raw active of the evening about the WWE Universe choosing the name of the tag team. It was either Team Friendship, Team Hell No, or Team, I forgot the third name, but it was Team Hell No was the fans' choice. And as Kane and Bryan will realizing the name and arguing yet again, here comes Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow, who wrestled Kane and Daniel Bryan in singles matches last week, and both Kane and Daniel Bryan cussing one another their matches, being attacked by Damien and Cody. And I guess they're another tag team that everyone needs to look out for. They named themselves tonight Team Rhodes Scholars. Get it? Rhodes Scholars. Because, Rhodes Scholars. With Damien Sandow being the intellectual guy and all. So the tag team division looks pretty stacked right now. We got Sin Cara and Mysterio getting some momentum. Primetime players in my mind, one of the best tag team in the tag team division right now. Sandow and Cody Rhodes sending out a big message to the tag team champion, to all Kane and Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. to the fans, Team Hell No. That's a funny name, though. Makes sense. Get it? Yes, no, hell no. So, yes, no, hell no. That should be the chant. Yes, no, hell no. So there you go. Team Hell No gets attacked by Team Rhodes Scholars. As of course, Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow, another tag team that needs not to be messed with. Now, speaking of tag, before I get to our Divas tag match, before I forget, we had another segment involving a live via satellite interview. First interview since his heart attack 2 weeks ago. Of course, I am referring to Jerry, the King Lawler, who was replaced again this week by Jim Ross. I didn't know who was going to replace Jerry, but of course it was JR this week. Jerry Lawler, raspy voice of all, he sounded great, he looked great. He said that he doesn't remember anything before the heart attack happened. He doesn't remember the tag match he was in before he had the heart attack with Randy Orton. When it comes to him returning, he says up to the doctors. But I will see Jerry Lawler, of course. Glad to see you do well, Jerry. Continue with the recovery. Can't wait to see you back on wall. Not wrestling, but commentary. So there you go. Jerry Lawler interviewed. Sounded great. Despite a raspy voice. But he looked great. He sounded alive. Can't wait to see him back on commentary. Now on to our next match, which had a kind of a weird ending. Which, of course, a Divas tag. A lot of tag matches tonight. 6-man tag. We had 2 tag team matches for males and a 6-man tag. Now we had a Divas tag. Involving Layla and Alicia Fox taking on Beth Phoenix, who may be leaving soon, and the Divas champion, Eve. Kind of a screwy finish with Eve getting the win for the team. I kind of missed this match. It's a Divas match. What can you say? So Eve got the victory with a neck breaker. So here, after that, here comes Caitlyn, who of course was attacked at Night of Champions to have Eve get the title shot replacing Caitlyn. Eve didn't do it. Caitlyn said she saw the security video, blah, blah, blah. She said she didn't see the face. She saw the hair of the attacker. It was blonde. So, all fingers are pointing at Beth. And Eve trying to play the whole sportsmanship gimmick. She's trying to do this whole trying to act good thing. She attacked Beth Phoenix. Man, that Beth would do something like that to Caitlyn, blah, blah, blah. Friendship, blah, blah, blah. Sportsmanship things. So, here we go. Eve. Whole thing has been kind of confusing lately. I've not been following it. Who cares? It's Divas. Let's move on. After Eve and Beth makes the victory on with our next match. Speaking of shitty finishes, it's Tenzai against Brodus Clay. The fringe against, I forgot what JR called it. Anyway, 2 big guys getting in there. Kind of a push and shove matchup between these 2. Headbutts one another. It's kind of a sloppy match until, well, it's the Big Show. Big Show returned after a couple weeks off. He punched out Tenzai at first, and then he punched out Brodus. Of course, proving once again he's still a heel. Although he worked face against Punk at a house show over the weekend, replacing Cena because of his injury. So, Big Show's a heel again, and we're facing off against Randy Orton at SmackDown. So, Big Show's back. Whoop-de-doo. So, there you go. Big Show's back. See what happens with him. But he's Big Show. He's big. He can knock anybody out he wants. But I kind of thank him because the match was probably going to suck anyway between Brodus and Tenzai. Was going to be mostly a push and shove punch match with 2 big guys. So there you go. Big Show's back. Knocking out everybody in sight. Or maybe next Friday on SmackDown. And that was the main event. That kind of sucked. We had a great opening match with Kofi and Dolph Ziggler. And a sloppy main event with Brodus and Tenzai. Now on to our last segment, which involved, of course, John Cena and CM Punk. Of course, John Cena came out with a cast after his surgery and all. Of course, telling WWE fans, I'm going to try to be back as soon as I can. Hopefully by Hell in a Cell. If Punk accepts the challenge tonight to face me at Hell in a Cell. So here comes Punk saying no, not just because of your injury, Cena, but because you've gotten so many title shots and you don't deserve another one. Well, he kind of does after the finish at Night of Champions. So, there you go. So, Punk say, I beat you so many times. You don't need title shots. And plus, you're a one-armed man. Pink, blah, blah, blah. You're pink now. You're not a man, blah, blah, blah. Respect, respect, respect. And Punk needs to get his head checked. Cena said, calling him some things with some PG swear things. And Punk's like, Cena, what advice, Cena? 1. And CM Punk said, Cena, if I turn around and you're still around, I will attack you. So Punk turned around, counted to 5, hoping Cena would leave. Cena did not leave. Cena had his own little pipe bomb. I mentioned that CM Punk would get his own pipe bomb, where he did. in the hands of John Cena, nailing him in the gut with a lead pipe. That's how we ended Raw a little bit outside the ring with Cena. Celebrating after attacking Punk, vowing to be at Hell in a Cell. That's what he can guarantee. He doesn't guarantee about recovery, blah, blah, blah. He's guaranteed he'll be at Hell in a Cell to fight. So we'll see what Punk has to say about this next week with Cena. Or will he be facing Cena? I mentioned earlier in the evening about Ryback getting the win over Miz, but saying that he may not get a shot against Miz for the IC title, maybe against another champion. Well, after Cena nailed Punk with the pipe, Punk went backstage and confronted Mick Foley. He attacked Mick Foley, but as he was about to attack Mick Foley again, he noticed someone and had a little bit of a scared look on his face, and the man he was staring at was Ryback. Wow. Ryback against Punk in Hell in a Cell? Who knows? Like I said, we saw Ryback get the victory over Miz. It turns out Ryback may not be facing Miz for the IC Championship. Could be facing up against Punk for the WWE Championship. So, see what happens with this turn of events. This little latest development. So will Cena face Punk or will Ryback face Punk? 2 words. Stay tuned. That's how we end a little bit of a mixed Raw. And it started with a great match in a shitty, crappy main event with Big Show returning. And now Punk may face Cena or Ryback, or maybe both. See what happens next week on Raw. That is it for my Raw review tonight. See you later. That might have been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you so much. See you later. Yeah.